2 test matches. So today we are going to cover quite a bit of ground, starting from few important trends in the mineral processing, because that's very, very important. Again, you need to connect everything that has happened in this 10 days to the 3 key questions: why, what, how. Critical minerals. So that is your duty. You've been teaching a lot of stuff. I know, capturing your attention. The studies say that capturing attention over 20 minutes is impossible. Hopefully, you would have done well with your exam yesterday. How many of you did well? Did you get your marks back? Not yet, okay. Did you also answer the exam? But anyway, let's see how you fared. Yeah. So again, I'll take you to this starting. This is what we started off with, right? Critical minerals are increasing in demand for solar panels, wind turbines, electrification, electric vehicles, and also strategic and defense purposes and whatnot. So pretty much everything that's happening is around critical minerals. There's no bilateral or multilateral discussion that does not include critical minerals as part of the agenda. That's the importance of critical minerals today, right? And then one of the initial premise where we kind of took off, why critical minerals? Because most critical minerals are not the minerals that you mine for, but they come as byproducts, or companions, or hitchhikers. That's one of the key underpinning reasons, right? When you have, and again, most critical minerals are needed in very tiny quantities compared to their bulk cousins or counterparts. These are bulk metals, right? You require in millions of tons capacities, and then even the size of the market is big. So everyone is behind them because everyone wants to produce bulk. When you produce bulk, the cost will come down. You know that, right? And we also talked about cost curve, etc., etc. So you have to be below, you have to be at the lower end of the cost curve so that you make more profit, right? First day that you came after we started, huh? Good. So what is that? Profits are equals to cost. That's the equation. That's a governing equation. Whether you do a hotel business, whether you do some other business, or my minerals business. That's the thing that we need to make work. And because they have got some special catalytic properties like PGMs. PGMs are used as, what is PGMs? Platinum group of minerals. What are they? How many of them? 6. Excellent. What are they? Come on. No, platinum group of minerals. Where PGMs are there? Platinum, palladium, right? Palladium, iridium. So these are kind of platinum group metals. Platinum, mainly platinum or palladium is used in catalytic converters, right? So that's why they have got some catalytic properties. And then metallurgical we have discussed. Then nuclear properties, electrical properties, magnetic properties, and luminescent. So the room that we are in, we are having that. The phones that you have, they have that. So pretty much everything. Now, compared to a couple of decades ago, today we are living in a climate constrained world, we say, right? That means every action that we do must be in sync with our Mother Earth, right? or the climate that we live in. So that means you try to minimize your footprint, whether it is GHG footprint. What is GHG stands for? Greenhouse. Excellent. And then specific energy consumption. It is both from your productivity point of view also, because more money, more energy you consume means more cost, right? More water you consume means more cost. More anything, more cost. So it is from your own strategic business advantage also that you want to reduce them. So that's why life cycle analysis is used very extensively to understand where are the pinch points. Pinch points, right? Where are those hot spots, so to say? Then what you do? Okay, if you're an excavator, now let's say you got a drag line, and drag line is consuming too much power, and the productivity is going down. Let's say, then what you do? You run a bit of diagnostics. What is the problem? Whether it is operator's problem, utilization problem. Utilization, right? If you got 24 hours in a day, 3 shifts, let's say, the equipment should be available or utilized for 24 hours because it's a big equipment. $200 million worth of equipment, an idle time of 1 hour is going to cost a huge fortune. So you should not keep a machine idle. You should utilize. And sometimes machine is used, but it's still not giving productivity. Either you have catastrophic breakdowns or your operator is abusing the machine. Sometimes, you either you undertake a lot of maintenance schedules, etc., etc., but yet sometimes machines break down. Right? I've got a car. Sometimes, when I change the gear, it doesn't move. So that's a problem there. I need to fix it. That's a maintenance issue. But sometimes, even if you look at RTC buses, the drivers, they somehow, that I don't want to say what they do, right? So that's called operator issue. Operator underutilizes or abuses the machine, then it will lead to catastrophic breakdowns. Then if a downtime of 2 months, because sometimes catastrophic failures, to fix them, it might take up to 1 month for that big machine. And for that 1 month, the machine is not available. That means your production is going to hamper. So all of those considerations will come into play. All right. So hence, we need to make sure that everything that we do, we try to minimize our footprint. Even as individual, again, ISR, we go back to. So let's see, whatever possible, let's do it. All right. So in the climate constrained world, now the challenges are far more challenging compared to a couple of decades ago. So a couple of decades ago, that's why the processing efficiencies or the recovery rates were lower. Hence, now people are betting on tailings dams, right? Because those days we were fortunate to get high-grade deposits. And although our recovery rates were 80%, that means 20% of our gold would have gone into tailings dams. Mineralogy was more in our favor. Electricity was cheaper, power was cheaper, etc. Labor was cheaper, and so on and so forth. So it worked, and hence we discarded some of the high-grade deposits. I told you the case of Goa, right? When I left Goa, anything less than 60% we used to reject. My good friend Sridhar also will tell. We were given strict instructions, 60 and less, boom, into dump. 60 and above, and then you blend that with lumpy ore from Karnataka, Ballari, Hospet, a lot of lumpy ore used to come, and then we used to mix that with powder and then ship it to Japan, Korea, and so on and so forth. But as soon as China came into market, all our dumps also got taken over. So that's a kind of shift, step change in the technology, right? What China was able to do, they were happy to run their blast furnaces under quite a low efficiency because they were producing bulk anything. And when you produce bulk, what will happen is you'll keep your cost, economies of scale. Economies of scale. The proper word for that is, yeah. Thanks for. Okay. Anyway, so these trends that we yesterday we kind of spoke: high to low, simple to complex mineralogy, shallow to deep deposits, low to high cost, low to high waste volumes that we are dealing with, and then low efficiency to high efficiency. That's the only positive thing, right? And then we also talked about the ore types, oxides to. So, what is the kind of processing mechanism that we employ in dealing with oxides? What you have to just remove is oxide, that oxygen, right? Simple heating and then removal of oxygen and then bit of leaching. But whereas when it comes to sulfide minerals, pyrometallurgy, high energy intensity process. So then you have got greenhouse gases going up. See, aluminum smelters, steel mills, cement factories, these are the top end of high polluting industries. Greenhouse gases emissions are way high in these machines. So because of these changes, now there's a lot of shift in terms of how we deal with. Again, this also we sort of looked at, and we also talked about the enrichment factor and so on and so forth. So just to remind you, I quickly wanted to show you. Now, I want to take you to some of the key global trends in mineral processing. So when you are saying that you are living in a climate constrained world, you know that the rate of sea level rise is alarming. You know that, right? It is said, it is forecasted that in about 50 years, many Pacific Island countries will be submerged. You know that, right? Pacific Island countries, do you know? Can you name a couple of them? Yeah, even India also. Like if you have ever been to that Marine Lines beach, what did you see? High tides. But how are they protecting? Rocks, blocks. They're putting cement blocks. So as to stop the erosion process, right? And not every country is as fortunate, right? They cannot. It is going to cost you a lot. So then it has to be a multi-pronged approach. The first approach is, of course, we continue to reduce, decarbonize, continue to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases, and then we decarbonize. That means wherever possible, we will replace. For example, now automobile fleet in India, if it is replaced with electric vehicles, let's see, one, cities are going to look very neater and cleaner. Two, our greenhouse emissions will go down. Delhi was a classic case, right? The particle PM 2.5 case. So that is very, very essential, right? How do we reduce our greenhouse gas? So accordingly, and it's not only that, it's also in the business interest of the company. How do we reduce the cost? That's always happening within the company level. Tata Steel, for example, lot of R&D, in-house R&D. They've got their own captive mines. They have their own captive iron ore mines, captive coal mines, everything. They do continuous research on how to improve the furnace. And as a matter of fact, as we speak, the Australia-India green steel challenge is happening. Green steel. As we said, steel is one of the high polluting industry. So now both the countries are working. Australia produces world's largest iron ore. I told you Australia ships about 850 million tons of iron ore every year. 850. The second largest producer is Brazil. That produces about another 800. Right? So much. And where all this iron ore is going? To Japan, to Korea, to China, where they convert that into iron and then steel. So that's very polluting because you require a lot of coking coal. Remember? Yes. Coking coal is used in steel plant for what purpose?
Sir, for removal of
Uh, why? What is the purpose of coking coal? Heat, but also what does it do? It is a reducing agent, right? See, oxygen, you have to strip oxygen. So it is acting as a reducing agent. What is iron ore? It is Fe2O3 or Fe3O4. This is called hematite, magnetite, and there are other forms of iron ore also, geotite and so on and so forth. You get in different forms. So what we are saying is green steel. So where they are trying to see in place of coking coal, whether some other additives can be used, biomass, for example. People are now trying it out, and people are also trying out hydrogen as a clean fuel. All of these are mainly efforts towards reducing steel's carbon footprint. Cement also the same, another big ticket item. Aluminum smelters are also another big ticket item because they are going to be produced in larger and larger quantities. Because as many countries are going, into massive development cycles, we're going to need a lot of this material, right? So hence, we need to be cognizant of the fact that it's very important. So resource scarcity and complexity, we have talked enough about it. Then environmental considerations, very, very important. Now carbon tax. So many, in fact, in Australia, for example, there was a time when carbon tax was introduced. Already industries are under tremendous pressure, right, to keep that cost curve. You remember we talked about cost curve, right? So if that is your kind of price, different companies operate different volumes, and some people are good at producing. So those who are at this kind of margin, they are well off, and that's what exactly China enjoys. But whereas most companies, what happens is when you put other additional costs, additional taxes, additional royalties, then your cost will continue to escalate. And then your margin gets leaner, profit margin gets leaner. So that is where carbon tax was withdrawn, because that's a tax. Why carbon tax was implemented in the first case? Because we wanted to see that companies adopt best practice approaches so that they emit less. Again, that's process to net zero transition. Every country has pledged net zero by 2050. Many countries have pledged by 2050. For India case, it was 2070. But I'm sure India will achieve that within that 2055 kind of bracket, the way that we are going. Right? So we have achieved 50% renewable already, 5 years ahead of time. So that means when you have reduced dependency on coal thermal power, that means decarbonization is happening quite faster. So environmental considerations are one of the biggest thing. And of course, technological advancements. Now we are talking of every time, like Professor Narasimha's group itself is doing a lot of research in terms of, hydrocyclones, spirals, what else? Flotation cells. So all of these are meant to achieve higher efficiencies. How do we recover with the minimum spend of resources? That's the technological advancements. And if you remember, I remember starting my career, and of course my friend Sridhar will support if I say, a typical survey room would look 3 times as big as this room, surveyed. You will have a lot of, big tables where survey maps would be put, and there would be literally draftsmen who would write, draft them. And then if someone has to show, okay, where tomorrow you're going to blast, we used to have a big long stick and say, oh, that's where I'm going to. Now they all have become small on your iPads and stuff like that. That's a revolution, right? Huge, huge change. Blasting, look at that. What a kind of efficiency. safety, performance. See, we started with typical detonators, which would go off anytime, accidentally. Now, from that to we have reached to non-L. You know non-L, right? Or non-electric detonators, non-L. From non-L, from normal ordinary detonators to non-Ls to electronic dets. That means precisely they go off the time. That means they will reduce ground vibrations, delay detonators, they give you a delay, and they go off at a precise time that you set. Because again, you have that relays, all that electronic things that are embedded in that. So all of that is the technological advancement. And then we spoke about mine to mill. You remember? Mine to mill. So people in the past used to be not worried about, so much about cost, etc. And then everyone worked in their own silos. Geologists worked in their own silos. Mining engineers worked in their own silos. Processing engineers. So no one was speaking to each other. So if you can't achieve a good fragmentation in the mining or blasting phase, that is going to increase your cost of production in the processing stage, crushing and grinding. Mechanical breakage is expensive, we said, right? That's why, hence, we use explosives to break them. Anything that you have to do mechanically will cost you more. So hence, we use chemicals, which are explosives, to blow up the rock. And that blowing up should happen in a uniform size fraction so that you will have less cost involved in your processing. So that's the technological side. Of course, then market demand and price fluctuations. So I don't have to say now, by now you have become experts in appreciating that, right? The very nature of minerals and metals is, what is that? They are cyclical. The prices go up and down. Not in the case of mostly the mainstream metals, but in all these exotic metals. Gold continues to rise, and gold price rise is not a good sign, right? Right? Why people rush to gold? That's one thing. But what is that? What is that he's selling? And that's true. Asset is true.
Also very responsive to taxes.
What is that telling? What is that phenomenon telling? Why people invest in gold?
It appreciates.
It appreciates, of course, that's fine. But what is that important market dynamics it is telling or revealing?
Demand supply.
You remember when
Investment.
excellent share market, right? Why?
Investment.
That's fine. Investment is fine. You,
There is a crash in stock share market. People go and
Safe asset.
safe asset. That's fine. But why? You are giving me reasons why it happens, but you are not telling me what is that telling. You remember when US elections are over, suddenly the gold prices went skyrocketing. Suddenly there was a jump of nearly $400, $300. Huh? No, not tariff. Uncertainty in the market. When people fear about, whether I should buy more Reliance shares or Adani shares or something else, because there's a lot of uncertainty looming around because of this, of course, tariffs was reasons, and etc., costs, etc. But the key reason is Trump said so many things. Then under such a chaos, the best rescuer is gold, because it will remain steady and it will grow. And that's why now gold is at the historical high, close to how many dollars? $2,500 an ounce. It's a lot. Historical high, and it's going up. So that means people are still, recession, these, that kind of concerns are pushing it further up, right? So now US, they're fearing a recession, all right? So market demand and price fluctuations and collaboration and knowledge sharing, okay, that's very important. So now everything is AI, artificial intelligence. So one thing that I did not, I started telling, but I stopped. So the survey rooms were big and survey was very tedious process, But now today, I remember, we got a small piece of 1 acre of land in my hometown. We got it surveyed long ago, but we also got it surveyed recently. So in the past, they used to come with that chains.
Oh, app.
Yeah, now it's just app. This guy will come,
Yes, walk.
he walk, and then he produces a map. I have got a map. I'll show you.
Now I think drones also.
Yeah, drones also, right? Yeah, geotagging.
Remember correctly, in our engineering survey practical in 90s, we didn't change our one.
Exactly. Chains, theodolites and all that.
Even like, this thing,
Nothing. Yeah.
it's a compass, which is a small compass, the direction.
Yeah. So from there to what we are today and what we will be. In fact, the Google CEO once said, the technology is advancing more than what people want. I was telling you, in fact, this morning I was taking a walk. My colleague, Bhuvan, and I was walking. I was telling 2013, until 2013, I used to have that Nokia phone. I used to live in Australia. By then, already a lot of people had iPhones and so on. But I said, no, why? I'm surviving. People said, "Hey, come on, man, how are you surviving?" I said, why do you need phone to survive? Like this, that old type,
Yes.
small screen.
Keep it.
Keep that one. I still have it. I still have it. I'll send photograph to you, then you can share it with them. Yeah, that's an antique piece now. Then suddenly, 2013, a professor from America came to Monash University. We had a new professor from America, and he was a professor from Taiwan. Taiwanese background, but he lived in America for 40 years. He said, "Hey Mohan, what's man? This is you are age old. You're old school," and he said, "I'm going to pay for your iPhone or whatever phone. Ever since I'm not sleeping, very you get addicted, right?
Yes.
But now without that phone, I cannot even enter my office. It's all swipe card, etc., etc. And now, if I had my old phone, I cannot buy even what you call sugarcane juice in India. Here, everything is that rupee.
Yeah, iPhone PPI.
I used to carry cash until recently, until my nephew helped me to kind of install that rupee on my phone. People used to think, oh, ye kon gauti aa gaya, gaon wala. But that's the kind of rate of pace of change, which is good in a sense. Our efficiencies are getting better and our efforts are getting diverted somewhere else. But that's that, the collaboration knowledge. So even in the exploration thing, we would collect samples, we would take it to labs and do all that coning and quartering, right? Our friends, the coning and quartering, right? You crush it, grind it, and make it into 4 parts, combine 2 parts, and then again do it. So it's a rigorous process. And then you determine what is the assay. But today, you've got handheld instruments. Just you get a core, and that will instantly, it will give you the mineralogy composition. So much fast, so much advanced. And then data, large amount of data, AI, ML. They can give you a good kind of quick capture of that. And mineral processing, a lot of that technology is currently being used. All right. So that means these are the factors playing role in the global trend in mineral processing. So again, a typical schematic of rare earth ore treatment, that's the same process: ore, feed preparation, beneficiation, concentrates, then you got hydrometallurgy, REE preparation, and then separation. So even in that also, probably yesterday, Professor Bona would have spoken about the biotechnology, right? Which is again benign. You don't have very energy intensive operations.
Yes, I'm right. How biotechnology is coming in. It's sharp, it's watching online.
Mm.
Never dreamed also that the processing technologies where it's fully some sensors we are seeing. But now you see all the way bio experts are coming. Definitely this field, this research we are going to
It's a breakthrough. It's a breakthrough.
level again.
In fact, yesterday we had a meeting at my friend Sridhar's office in the city. He's a director of a company, right? So he's a big guy, huh? A lot of money. Huh? So, and he now their company is thinking of even in situ leaching without disturbing the ground, just to get the metals out.
Yes.
In situ leaching, in situ recovery, we call it. I think we had a bit of brief reference to that. That means just you drill the boreholes and then put the chemicals from that our chemical engineers will give, pump it, recover.
Lixi.
Lexiviants.
Yes.
Yeah. So much sophistication. So that means zero waste mining. It's going to be a reality. Already there are many companies which are trialing out. Orica, along with BHP and Rio Tinto, are now going full scale. Even electrokinetic methods also have come. That means even you don't have to do that. You just pump the liquid and then something will capture. You have that electric field difference. So one is cathode and the other one is anode. Done. Cu plus, Al plus, and all these are plus positive, right? What positive means what?
It's a catalog, which is called as
Cation, right? They will get attracted to anode. Anode. So these are the emerging new trends. So probably some of the old techniques will become obsolete. Because again, the reason is the environmental costs, the price, the cost pressures on the companies. Of course, whilst fulfilling your own personal ambition of making more profits and more dividends, more shareholders benefits, you're also achieving environmental stewardship within the companies. So that's why LCA is very, very useful tool. I think here sensor-based sorting. So this is where I was saying, sensor-based sorting is a very popular concept now. Most conveyor belts are fitted with sensors. They will give you what grade of ore is coming. Right? Anyway, biotechnological processes, separation of rare earths and non-rare earths, so which perhaps already Professor Bona would have talked. Yeah, advanced magnetic separation, remote sensing, and geospatial analysis. Anyway, so some final thoughts as far as the mineral processing, because Professor Narasimha spoke about it, Professor Srinivas spoke about, T. Srinivas spoke about it, Professor Bona spoke about it. So I said, let me just capture what's moving piece. So changes in commodity prices, emerging technologies, geopolitical factors have impacted the beneficiation efforts, with some minerals gaining prominence while others experience fluctuations. And then the the depletion of high-grade deposits has led to need for processing lower-grade ores and more complex mineral deposits. That's what we have been repeatedly saying. Hence, you have to have a different different tools in your toolbox to be able to deal with it. All right. And now, in the past, what used to happen is mining companies were different, mineral processing companies were different. So now people are having joint ventures and then developing technologies that are suited for that particular deposit type. Any questions? Oops. Any questions on that? Yeah.
Basically, I'm doing modeling work in the middle. I then only few experiments. Is that I can some certain sorts of experiments that I can make the fit according to my percentage. But when it comes to the mining, when we have the coal, how can we tell that it is having 60% of coal or something? Like, how can you decide? Is the ready test ready? Or should we make any processing and then we have to test?
I think in a specific scenario that you are explaining, so each case would be different, right? But there are a lot of algorithms that have been written. Maybe there are commercially available softwares within mineral processing area that you could use, or maybe some additional test work in a specific instance should have to happen to be able to tell and determine.
Like any, can you say anything, sir? Like the current work is happening, that, or it's in the older studies also. Like when we have it already,
Mm.
can we know that it is having some percentage of required material?
And that's what I was saying, that handheld, what they call X-ray fluorescent, no, what is that? XRF, handheld XRF machines. You know, they are very portable, tiny things that people take. Of course, they may not give you very accurate, that same resolution that the typical laboratory studies may give, but they are reasonably comparable, right? People are using them.
In the world, that is the only equipment we take into the field. Because if any country you go, their country deposits are located in the remote places. So it is very, traditional way of collecting sample, laying, bringing lab, all the things. So all are using the XRF. But depending on the mineral you are looking for, we have to load that particular song. So the XRF can give you all the periodical elements present to be there in the mineral. Suppose you are looking for diagram of materials. So load the song. Require elimination of memory or song. So that is the cheaper communication. You can get lesser than 0.5%. So the models lesser.
Yeah. Specific details I may not be aware, but there is a lot of that. Anything? No?
She's asking for metals also. Metals also you got separated. But metals, metal ones, it's a table tops. You have to
Even heat maps now, with drone based heat maps, are also, they can tell you that, generally how you do prospecting, exploration and prospecting, you fix something to, the drones, aeroplanes, etc., right? The reconnaissance survey.
We know one technology that is tomography, which is being used in geological also. And it's pure
X-ray tomography, yeah.
is. Tomography.
Anyway, you shown that in your lab, right? Yeah. So what it gives you, like when you do a bit of reconnaissance survey, it gives you anomalies. It detects anomalies like geophysical studies, etc. And then on the basis, you will say, okay, this is the kind of concentration.
It is basically working on lines of conductivity chains.
I think so.
The metals and these minerals have the conductivity difference in metal. So that's one that we can.
So you are better expert than me in that area. So that's your area. You've been researching. Huh? So, but a lot of changes. Again, changes are happening for several reasons, right? One is cost pressure, other one is GHG emission pressure, and so on and so forth. Okay, these are lecture slides. One of my former PhD students and my colleague, now my current colleague on Australia-India Critical Minerals Research Hub, Professor Tushar Gupta. He works at NIT Rourkela. So he sent me this morning at 3:40 a.m. People don't sleep. I asked him, right? India's critical mineral supply and stakeholders overview. Who are stakeholders?
All governments, we, industry,
Industry,
academia,
academia, exactly.
people, main
Yeah.
public.
Communities, right? Communities and public at large, population, right? So what did he prepare? Let's see. Government actions. Governments generally are good at doing what? Governments are trying to do less business, more. You okay? Huh? What governments are good at?
Next,
Come in front. Come,
The governments are good at making the money.
come here.
The state government, central government is good at making the money. So that's why they are
And sit there.
some making the money
You can sit there, yeah.
and making the policies favorable for the government. Very best for the industry.
So the current government has very clearly and emphatically said time and again, less government,
All works.
more governance.
But it's quite opposite. I can answer something. It's quite opposite.
Okay. So you remember, I think there was a time when Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister of India. Sorry. So that time, most of the banks have been nationalized. You know, remember why? What was the reason?
Maybe efficiencies in the finance sector, like a lot of private traders were there, they were acting on.
That's right. The inefficiencies, and also they used to dupe the investors. And even of late, also many stories we have heard, right? They used to completely declare what you call liquidate all the assets, and then people lost a lot of money. Even there was one society a couple of years ago, a lot of people have lost money, crores of rupees, hard-earned money. So then that was time that for public good, public sector. But again, during maybe fast forward to 20, 30 years, during Prime Minister Vajpayee's time, there was a dedicated department called disinvestment department. Because most public sector companies started doing very badly. Closer to our home is Singareni Collieries, I told you, right? It was referred to BIFR. BIFR. BIFR is Bureau of Industrial Financial Reconstruction. That means BIFR, if a company was referred to BIFR, that means it's almost dying. BIFR. So those were the time where nationalization, public sector undertaking. Public sector undertakings are for public good. No exploitation, no misuse, etc., etc. But again, fast forward to 30 years, then we started thinking, no, it's not working. I remember Hatti gold mines used to be very, very thriving, making a lot of profits. I took a training when it was really, high performing industry. Then it started declining. Because it is dependent on the CEO of the company, the managing director and chairman of the company. There are some which are doing exceptionally brilliantly well, but some don't. And that's why, there's a lot of debate that happens. Hindustan Aeronautics, HAL. You remember HAL? People say, why these contracts have to be given to Anil Ambani? Why can't it be given to Hindustan Aeronautics Limited? But again, you know that, right? How a public thing works, how a private thing works. Private is driven by profits. Private is driven by efficiency, isn't it?
So I think now people are okay with
Private.
private sector, but they are okay not okay with majority shareholders with Ambani and other. Maybe that's where they are not really okay with it. Maybe they want like public an opportunity for sales.
But that also had drawbacks, right? Companies, for example, there are companies which made huge profits and then they kind of defaulted on a number of occasions. Anyway, we'll not go into the political debate. That's not our. But public sector was public good again. But now, during Prime Minister Vajpayee's time, there was a special ministry called Disinvestment Ministry, where they started disinvesting and then inviting. Even now in critical minerals, earlier they thought government will do, but now everything auction private companies. When coal blocks are now given to private companies. Yeah.
Yes.
So now a company like Singareni, they don't know their future after 30 years. क्योंकि उनको नहीं मिल रहा है coal blocks because it's a very competitive process. Now 30 years तक है उनके पास results, but 30 years के बाद नहीं है. But पता कौन जाने 30 years के बाद क्या होगा? The entire coal sector might be shut down.
No,
No more coal. Yeah.
we should go for deeper deposits. We have huge reserve in deeper deposit.
Better quality of coal.
Better quality of coal.
Yes.
No, but coal may not be needed at all. That's what I'm saying.
Alternatives.
Or we will find alternatives. Wind energy, solar energy, etc.
Deep sea excavation.
But not nodules.
Green headwater.
But I think Japan has tried because Japan is one country which doesn't have any resource, right? They are 100% dependent on everything. Where manufacturing is at highest, but they don't have any resources. So they look outwards. Europe the same. Barring few cases, they may have some results, but very less. So Japan tried when China threatened they'll stop supply of rare earths. They started deep sea exploration, but I think it wasn't feasible. They found it wasn't feasible. See, although even people are now thinking of moon mining, Mars mining, huh? Yeah, space mining, yeah, SpaceX, etc. So these are frontiers. Science has to move in. One is again we go from that time horizons of short, medium, and long. Some has to be blue sky research. Some is a research that is enabling that step change. Right? I told you about something called leapfrogging. We call it leap, L-E, leap frogging, leapfrog. I also told you a couple of other words, right? Professor Mashelkar says pole vaulting. Pole, how do you spell pole vault? V-A-U-L-T, pole vault. And then I say quantum. Quantum is even higher, right? There was one is incremental. Before leapfrogging, it was incremental. Then this, then disruptive. Disruptive. So there are so many different types of innovations that one could have. Yeah. So quantum. So that's a kind of push that you need to have. Pole vaulting. So can we completely stop mining and then extract everything without disturbing the surface? Because mining is going to be tremendously challenging in India in the future. The way urbanization, because if I look at, although we are in Sangareddy, you can't really make out that you are going away from Hyderabad city. Literally everything is getting connected. And I traveled by road from Kolhapur to Mumbai. Again, all along the highway, hotels, restaurants, houses. That's happening. Gurgaon, if you look at that area, completely urbanized. You can't see. I traveled from Delhi to Rishikesh. No place, single place where I did not see a dhaba or some good hotel. That's 1.4 billion people and still increasing. So the challenge of urbanization. Then once people are there, where do you mine?
I have no minds.
Yeah?
I have no minds.
Yeah.
Zero minds.
No, that's okay. But what I'm saying is some other parts also. Then you got the what you call national forests and so on and so forth. Ecologically sensitive areas, heritage areas. So where do we mine? We still need minerals, right? Then that is disruptive technology that we need to think about. So policies. What's done? National Critical Minerals Mission launched with 34,000 crore. See, Tushar is a brilliant student he, of mine. Like he's no longer my student. He's my colleague now. What's done? Central government empowered to exclusively auction critical and strategic minerals. That is, 4 blocks have been successful. And zero customs duties. Now Australia-India free trade agreement has been signed, meaning goods can flow either ways with zero tariff. That means cost will come down. Then you become competitive, right? Yesterday, my friend, when we went to my friend Sridhar's office, one of the points that we discussed is, I think there was a tariff that was put on, 30%. And then China reduced that almost zero. And still we were unable to kind of safeguard our. Which mineral was that? No. One of the metal, cobalt. I think cobalt. So what they did is to protect our own industry, Indian government imposed 30% tariff on imports from China. Then what China did? They dropped the base price itself 30% less. So how much tariff that you can put? And they became again viable. So undercutting is rising and lowering is the tactic that they use, so that you collapse as a competitor so that I exist as the monopoly. My friend Professor Bona Shanbag was saying that they lived in Sangareddy back 10 years back before they moved to Australia. That time there were only 1 or 2 hotels in entire Sangareddy. कल शाम को हम गए थे वहां पे. There are 25 hotels, restaurants, beautiful quality. So when you got 1 and when you got 10, what is it? You see that difference, quality, and they were guy, after we paid the bill and walking away, he said, "Sir, can you please do Google rating?" Dekho na, that's a power of competition, right? So then again, not enough, right? There's more expectation from government. What can be done is again to enable. This is all about enabling that market, enabling that ecosystem, right? We always expect more. See, I know that although you are sitting and listening to me, मोहन ऐसा बोले तो ठीक है, ऐसा वो भी एक विचार आता है ना आपके मन में. That's natural, but natural, right? So accelerate digitization of approval process and reduce bureaucratic delays. That's one of the things. See, we said from discovery to production, it takes nearly average 8 to 12 years. So can you reduce that? Can you expedite that process so that things can get off quickly? That's again, a lot more work needs to be done. Develop comprehensive recycling policies and expand action program target over 100 critical mineral blocks by 2031. So that means some mission mode. See, there was never in the history of India we heard that we want to make the economy to 3 trillion or 5 trillion. At least that people are now saying it, talking about it. Government is saying that we want to create. Whether we reach or not, several factors in control and out of control. But at least there's a vision where we want to head to, right? That's very important. That vision is what, see, human life is all about hope, right? Even if you're down with something today, if there's a hope, then say, okay, next day when you get up with a hope, right? Positive. That's very important. See, our friend is coming to Australia. She's waiting for her visa, right? So now there's a hope that has come for her. I think they asked some additional details. Now, maybe next week she will get an Australian visa and she'll come. So that hope is something that keeps. Government actions. Now, funding is the next one. So, policy, from policy point of view, it's government. Then the next one is funding. What's done already? We know, right? What is done? Allocated under National Critical Minerals Mission. So, of which the split is like that: about 16,300 crores government expenditure, about 18,000. See, Tushar has done fantastic job, right? Can we put our hands together to appreciate Tushar? By chance, Tushar is online? Is Tushar online? Tushar Gupta? No. No? Anyway, I'll pass on your claps. See, all of that, that's already done. Then what needs to be done? There's again more and more. Again, our friend was saying that, Bharat was saying that a lot more needs to be done. There's scope for improvement in anything. In our own personal life, let's see. We are doing, see, he's getting about 80% in the class. नहीं कितना आता है? Anyway, you don't have to tell. But you need to, I told you the other day, grades, concentrate on grades. Because your undergrad grades are going to be key if you want to make a career overseas, a scholarship from university to do your studies. You need to be in the top 5 ranks in your cohort. Try. Time is there. That's what you have to do as a student, right? What else? Not movies, not YouTube reels or whatever, You have to do that. Work-life balance is important, but that's you can't. I can tell you my own story because our time, MSET was one of the very, very rigorous process, and we didn't have so many seats. If you are to get a merit seat without payment, your rank must be below 1,500, and about 1 lakh students used to appear for this exam. It's engineering, medical, common entrance test, they call it EAMCET, MSET. If you have to get a free seat means literally free seat. I did not pay a single rupee to government. Government bore everything for me. I went to Narayana coaching. Can you believe how many hours I used to sit without moving? Just guess. 16 hours. 16 hours I used to work. Because I came from a very rural background. Until I passed my intermediate, I didn't know that there's something called MSET. Then I had to start all from scratch. Even those days, if you passed your intermediate, it used to be big news in the village. Even SSC, सब पूरा गांव में जानते थे लोग. Now, कुछ भी करो, कुछ किसी को पता नहीं. So, yeah, if you get a free seat, the whole district would know, right? So things are changing. But now that I'm not saying of course, there's still, those who are getting into IITs, JEs, and MSETs, free. They must be working, but not everyone is working. Again, वो समय भी वही था.
After I'm saying it's college.
Usmania University. I went to JNT Anantapur first, and then I was ragged.
Yes, sir, like,
मैं पूरा कपड़ा उतार दिया. वो इतना शादिस्ट थे ना वहाँ पे. Yeah, very, very. Oh, they slapped on my cheeks, became red. My father came running. I said, "No, I'm going to leave the studies." Yeah. Even at the school that I studied, it became a big news in those days. It came in the front pages of the Enadu and other major dailies. क्योंकि ना हमारे इधर भी जहाँ आने के बाद ना there was a group after us who ragged students, and उसको ना वो monkey जैसा they asked him to hang to the branches of the trees in the midnight. वो कई पत्रकार ने picture ले लिया. It became a big news, and then 9 people were rusticated out of the university. Very rampant था उस time. It is now, rules, everything. Yeah, committees. That's how it should be anyway. So we talked about policies, funding, and then global ties. The third important thing is global ties. What's already done? Kabul is established, bilateral partnerships. Again, another beautiful slide, isn't it? Policies, funding, global ties, partnerships. What can be done? What should be done? Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah.
Go to share the slides.
Yeah, everything will be shared. All the slides, whatever we have, right? We're sharing, no?
No, sir.
We should share them. I'm putting everything on here. All the slides should be shared. What you do is don't share the slides. Maybe convert them into PDF and then share. Huh? So that वो size का problem नहीं रहेगा. Huh? So government actions हो गया. Now, then sustainability. What's done and what should be done? So maybe after government we'll stop and then we'll go for tea and then we'll come back and then we'll continue. And after this lecture, I'll start a little bit about ESG, and with that we'll close. ESG is also a very, very important topic. Again, in the climate constrained world, ESG should be topmost priority. OHS. What is OHS? ESG, you know, right? What is ESG? Then OHS? Health and safety. Yeah. So, any further thing? Develop resource recovery parks. Now, in fact, what government is trying to do? Government is trying to set up critical mineral processing parks. This is also a brilliant idea. Look at that. So when you create clusters, then again you can achieve that economies of scale. Our friend Bharat has said earlier, economies of scale is very, very important to keep under the cost curve, lower side. To achieve that, you should produce it in bulk. Meaning you should have clusters where you got shared infrastructure. If everyone is going to create infrastructure by themselves, then their capex is going to go over the roof. Then they become out of the business, right? This is called cooperatives. In India, cooperatives are very, very successful businesses. You remember? Cooperatives are all about that. Reducing individual capital costs. So now your Australian government also is thinking the same. Critical mineral hubs. Again, if you have read my article, you would find that. To create common. See, एक जमाना ये था कि like we used to have one dug well in the entire village where people would go to. Then from there, people said, okay, let me have, because people have become lazy. यार उतना देर को हो जाएगा. Let me have my own dug well. Then Dugwell पूरा dry हो गया because groundwater ran out. Then people started bores deeper and deeper. That's also gone now. So see, that's the same thing applies to those days we used to have more combined families in India when I was growing up. Like brothers, siblings used to live together. Joint families, exactly. Then nucleus families, everyone's again. I don't want to blame people go for different reasons, right? Then another footprint, another footprint. So you keep on adding, right? So that's where
Regarding these Andhra also, sir, for example, Maharashtra, they have developed these common facilities, LILAs, industrial area local authorities, where we used to pay tax only to that industry association. For example, sir, in Patancheru, it's being controlled by municipalities. Again, you have a lot of issues with the road, water, power. And Maharashtra has developed this Aurangabad industrial
corridors. So now, in fact,
in Andhra, some at that level has to be implemented for this. For example, there is Chris City, sir. Krishnapatanam industrial corridor or lignits, where they are creating a very big infra. Similar things has to be followed for this sector.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, in fact, when I hear he's inspirational as a minister, Minister Nitin Gadkari. Now they are trying to construct a big highway between Delhi, connecting Delhi and Mumbai, two big cities of the country. Along that, the highways, they're going to have semiconductor industry, manufacturing industry clusters. So logistics, remember logistics we talked about?
Yes.
Logistic cost, 15%. How do we bring it down? Achieving the scale and then also providing proper infrastructure. That's the way to go. And that way, you can also achieve industrial symbiosis. In fact, two of my PhD students, in fact, the lecture that I'm going to share next will be prepared by my other former PhD student, who now runs a company. So waste from one industry can be a resource to another industry. So that's how you have to plan it. Co-locating, they call it. Not relocating. What is the word? Co-locating. If you've got some synergy with him, you sit next to him. Mosami is having some synergy, so she's sitting with him like that. Not like that. No, just joking. Huh? So synergy. 1 plus 1 is? No, 11.
Yes.
That's called synergy. 1 plus 1, 2 is a very age-old kind of approach that people followed. Right? Then we'll come to industry role. So we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back. Yeah.
Small and so thank you, sir, for giving this lectures, and I yet appreciate all the activities you showed so interesting in all activities only. It says you have shown so much interest in discussions and interactions. So today we will be distributing the certificates for you all in the afternoon session. Please start with the time. We don't really plan to finish end of the afternoon. We
See, funding. What else we looked at in the government? Hmm? It's not working. Let's restart it. Okay. There was something got stuck or something. Yeah, it's fine. So if you look at government, what are the things we looked at? Policies, global ties, sustainability, global ties and sustainability. So that's the government as a key stakeholder, right? Then let's look at the next stakeholder is industry, right? As Bharat has said earlier, role of industry, key, very key, because industry is the one which is doing
Yes, sir.
on the ground, right? Government is only enabler, but there's also industry which becomes again um, key doer, one player. One is enabler, other is a doer, right? Let us look at what is. So mining, right? First thing is mining. What is done? Investing in opening and operating domestic mining projects. Some Indian companies participate in overseas asset acquisition via cable, and also private entities. For example, Loham and Sridhar's company is also very. So that's why his pockets are very deep. I was saying, right? So he's going to take all of us for dinner tonight. Not to Sangareddy like Mohan takes, but he takes to a good hotel in yeah. Big people have to do big things. Then what else we have? Adopt sustainable mining practices, because this is something companies can do. Companies means it is you guys, mining engineers. If you do bad job, I'm going to kick you, right?
Yes.
So you must do a good job so that what is sustainable development? Can someone give me the original definition of sustainable development?
Without harming environments.
That's good. But what else? What else? What is sustainable development? You know when the sustainable development was coined for the first time?
1997.
It's called something called Brundtland Report. Yeah, that was the time when this word called sustainable development. The development, yeah,
Utilizing our resources, like by giving future generations also should.
Yes.
brilliant. That's very important. Underline.
Yes.
So as much we have right on our resources, future generations have got double the right. As if you should consider that you borrowed from your future generation. So when you borrow, what you should do? No, repay with interest. Round of applause. So you should, if you take something, you should double it and give it. But again, in that case, can this happen really, in reality, in mining? If you take coal, you burn, it's gone. How can you double it?
Non-renewable.
Non-renewable. No, but there are principles by which if you operate mining, you are contributing to
Yes.
renewable. Mining, by definition, cannot be renewable, but there are guiding principles
Yes.
in which you operate, then it becomes sustainable, right? Deep sea and urban mining to access. So we talked about, and also we also talked about space mining, right? Space exploration. Again, brilliantly done, Tushar. A lot of praise. And AI data, artificial intelligence data. Data is the power today. When you open your Google search, it will give you, even before you search, what you're looking at. For example, at a time of the day, it knows what my friend is going to search for.
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
So that's the power of data. Yeah. So that's why they say that internet is almost, you're stripped literally in a sense. Digital tools like GIS, remote sensing. What is IoT? And can someone? Beautiful. Internet of Things, right? So connectivity. We talked about Nintendo mining, autonomous mining. It's all about IoT. People sit in Melbourne, people sit in Perth. They operate mines in Pilbara and Kalgoorlie, about 500 kilometers away. How they do? With all that joysticks. Yeah. Then scale up development of AI, machine learning, and blockchain. I don't know what is all this, but I've used AI and machine learning in couple of my PhD students' thesis. We have used extensively. Industry-wide data sharing platforms but again, industries are not willing to share data because it's competitive, right? you cannot reveal your data to your competitor. Then you lose the competitive advantage. So how we can do it is a big thing.
Automotive companies, no, they can share the requirement. They have these tons of automotive space required, so that we can plan accordingly.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Sector-wise, for example, mobile manufacturers, these much of materials required. So we have some opportunity we can try to plan to achieve their whatever they require.
Absolutely. Brilliant point. A round of applause for our friend Bharat. No, he's also industry. He's a big guy also. Huh? You know that he deals with again hundreds and thousands of crores for his company, right? That's good. But you should talk to him and learn from them. You know what is the trick of the trade? Because most of you are still young and just academic, right? So these are the people who have proven kind of industry leg also in their careers. Talk to them. You know, this is an opportunity. It's not only just talking to you each other. You know,
Yes.
two of your friends, one from from AKS University, but you should also talk to others, right? This is an opportunity. Then recycling. What is done? Have initiated e-waste and battery recycling programs, pilot projects for circular economy. For example, last week I was co-leading an Australia-India advanced manufacturing kind of workshop. I couldn't invite you because you were attending this. There were about 80 participants who attended. So a lot of case studies have been presented, number of discussions. Now I'm preparing a white paper based on what was discussed, which will be submitted to both governments. So we are making some recommendations to government, how we can lift the game. It's called lifting the game, right? Level playing field and lifting the game. So how do you lift? Don't operate at the same level, but you need to incremental or disruptive, or we talked about pole vaulting, leapfrogging, all of that. What's to be done? Scale recycling capacity. So now my co-lead on that Australia India initiative was Mr. Rajat Verma. He's the founder and CEO of Loham, a biggest recycling company in the country. I think together they recycle about 80% of India's lithium. It's a big company. It's a very fastest growing kind of startup. Very, 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 smart chap. A graduate from IIT Kanpur, and then he went to do masters at Stanford, and then did an MBA from Harvard. Gem. Within 10 years from inception, he created an empire of $500 million, still growing. I think he'll be unicorn very shortly. He has that vision.
I see the PPT where he presented local last time. He focused this way of doing things long back. But already he there some stage. Maybe he's looking at thoughts.
Yeah, he came to our symposium also last January.
I see the model the way they are doing. It's easy enough to forecast today's world. So the vision long back, the way it's in the business, because back to million years ago, like even you got a good thought. So there must be a lot of still lots of potentials. Yes.
Absolutely.
He also is contributing.
Yeah, absolutely. He's creating so many jobs for youngsters.
It's like still where the generation.
Inspiration. Some stories are really mind blowing. Now, see, that's what Professor Murthy says. The current India is you can take risk. My time, risk is very, very scary thing. Either a job or you starve. Today, you don't have that. You can be few years without job, try your own dream. For example, my own former PhD student and now the CEO of Green Technologies. I'm going to share his presentation shortly. He finished PhD. Now he wanted to patent what he did during his PhD. He declined applying to any IITs or NITs for academic jobs. He went and established the company. Now he recently completed 5 years of that startup. He's saying, "Sir, I'm so happy that I'm doing so well." And he created employment for at least 30 or 35 people. The power of determination, conviction. So many of you are in that, think bold, dream bold, as they say, right? Dr. Abdul Kalam used to say. He said, like the what do you think the no
Famous quote actually, forward also dream and try to dream and reach the goal what you want. Try to dream.
no what no no he used to say that it's not that you get dreams when you are asleep. The dream should not let you sleep. So something like that, right? That's one thing. And the other one that he used to very. The other thing that I used to like is when he was on that Pokhran mission during Prime Minister Vajpayee's time. He was the one who kind of driving, right? In Rajasthan desert, the temperatures were of the order of 50, 52 degrees. It's literally close to getting boils.
Yes.
A lot of youngsters he put on the task because it has to be a very secretive thing. He gave that speech in Goa University convocation when he came. People were sweating. Apparently, he said, "I told you the outcome of hard work is sweat, but the 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 the, 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 the fruits of sweat is sweet." Something like that.
So education or bigger.
Yeah, something like that. It's amazing, That's how people have to be. And all those entrepreneurs, I really salute them, because it's daunting. You feel very frustrated. You see, oh, no system is working when you don't get any help. Yeah, yeah, emotional dry. See, even just now, our friend Bharat also was saying, that government say something, government do something else. That's a common everywhere, every part of the world. I can guarantee you. It's always the other side of the fence is green, kind of thing, right? So have appreciation. Be thankful to whoever you believe for whatever you have. There's always more, but be thankful. Then there's a sense of gratitude, out of which a lot of compassion, grades. Okay? Then innovation. Very good thing, right? He has put it so nicely on every aspect. Brilliant. This is what you need. The clarity of thought. Crystal clear. Any doubts or any comments so far? Good. What else we have? Collaboration, which is again important. Partnerships with government for mineral parts, that's infrastructure development, exploration support, collaboration with international firms for technology. Again, now under free trade agreements. So India is signing, not rather India, many countries are signing free trade agreements with India. Because India is seen as a huge market with greatest potential. See, what happens is it's always like when you are on the same floor, you don't appreciate. But when you either elevate or when you look from bottom, then you have a wider perspective. That's what a lot of people see. See, it's not that many people, many big entrepreneurs worldwide are betting on India. It's not that they're trying to appease you. That's a reality of India, new India. But in the process, people feel a bit of pain, that's for sure. But ultimately, you all will see your children will grow up in a developed India, that's for sure. Don't you want a developed India? You all want, right?
Yes.
Who has to work for that? You, the people. You know that in democracy, there's a, in fact, when I was in my IIT days, doing my master's at IIT Bombay, we had Professor Veeramani, very, very straightforward professor, top class chemical engineer, top class. Those guys. He studied from Stanford and he came back. I think he's passed away, if I'm correct, but don't hold me for that. No, he used to teach us a course. Then in the exam, it's a bit of policy kind of thing. Then I used to say, it's always like that, What is democracy? We the people, of course, that's it. By the people, for the people, of the people, right? Then when I wrote my exam, what I did, I wrote BUY FAROFF. I just, he liked it so much. He called me, Mohan, this is something that you wrote so well. I liked it. It was those days, in intent, it is supposed to be by the people, BY, not by the people. It is for FOR, it is not for the people, far from the people. It is of the people, not of the people. So it's a like he then I became his favorite student. And he used to be such a straightforward person. Once we had a very senior level government bureaucrat come to, he was the chairman of pollution control board. He took him right and left in the and then walked out of the office, the conference room. Of course, we should not insult people. We should again. That's another character that you should develop, is never say anything bad about people. There's a in Telugu, my language that I speak, there's a saying that anything bad you should do a whisper. చెడు చెవులో చెప్పాలి, మంచి మైకులో చెప్పాలంటాం మనం, అంతే కదా? So you should never do that. Invest that's there. Even if there's something wrong, they don't say. Your certificates have come, so people are waiting. Yeah, that's industry law. Is Tushar there now? Any chance? Tushar, we have very high praise for you. What you have done. Again, one more round of applause. Okay. Then academics. We also got academia, means it's not only academia but research. That's also another very key pillar, stakeholder rather. So research. Then there are some lot of studies that are already getting done, and we are developing. Did we say what is TRL? TRLs? We talked about technology. So this is a European standard which was developed. So TRL 9 means it's a fully commercial product. For example, your mobile phone is a TRL 9, the outcome of TRL. TRL 1 means it's a basic idea, it's a concept. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So as it graduates from being 1 to 2 to 3, for example, when I had an idea to achieve industrial symbiosis for a region in Victoria. That particular part of Victoria had world's largest coal mines, like lignite mines. And then it also had pulp and paper industry. It also had power plants, and it also had wastewater industry, for example. And besides that, many other industries were there. So I used to take students on excursions to mines, to power plants, to water treatment plants. That's part of my teaching ethos. I want students to get good learning experience.
Yes. Critical.
Very practical. Theory is important. Theory makes you stronger, but you also should be hands-on.
Yes.
So I used to take students on excursions, and then I realized that each one of them have problems individually. For example, for mines, acid mine drainage was a problem. The Fe2S pyrites. When you have pyrites, when they oxidize, when they come in contact with water, they produce sulfuric acid. You said,
Yes.
right? Then that's hazardous environment. Then on the other hand, next door to them is power plants, which would be captive power plants. These are mines, captive mines for those power plants. They produce a lot of ash. And then about 8 kilometers away, you have pulp and paper industry. And another 8 kilometers away. So they were all in a cluster, for example, in that region. So here you got mines, and next to them were power plants, and you got here water treatment plant, and here you got pulp and paper industry. When I went with students in each of these, each one had their own problem. In the sewage treatment plants, what do? You treat sewage. Sewage, sewage, right? So sewage that we all generate. One, they produce ultra pure water because they used to use reverse osmosis, RO. And that RO water they used to supply to the paper mill. Paper mill also used to generate a lot of waste because they use a lot of wood, right? Wood chips. But there's some wood chips which will go into landfill, which are highly alkaline. At mines, you got problem of AMD. And power plant produces ash. And then again, you require ash dams. And these guys had to do rehabilitation. And then because there are 3 large coal mines, the topsoil was one of the problem. Then I tasked one of my final year student to see, let us mix these waste streams in different proportions. So these guys have got ash, which is slightly alkaline, and these guys have got overburden waste, which has acidic nature. Let's put them together, but still it lacks nutrients. Where the nutrients will come? From the sludge. Then this has become a revolutionary technology now. That's called industrial symbiosis. That means one's waste is another's resource. That's what, the co-locating and relocating that we spoke about. So 2 students like Shashi did similar project, but there he used steel slag to develop artificial soil. Likita, one of my former PhD students, she used other waste streams. So now you are with one solution, one technology, you are solving problem for so many people, right? You're solving problem for these guys, for these guys, for these guys, and these guys. Because with wood chips, there's a lot of cellulose that also can, over a period when it decomposes, it becomes very good humic substance for plants to grow.
Nothing is wastes.
Yes, it's only our vision. So that's very, very important. And even Tushar did similar project. Tushar's PhD was all about, whether we can use ash as a material to replace cement, Portland cement, because Portland cement is also a heavy emitter, lot of carbon. All right. Then training. That's what you are going through now. We are training you so that now at least you have become little experts, right?
Yes.
Little better informed about critical minerals compared to day one.
Yes.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
Professor Vamsi is going to tell how you fared your exam. Huh? You are saying yes, yes. He's answering. He's marking your exams now. Okay. But I'm sure you took some interest in learning some new things, right? So training programs and workshops like these will help, and then symposiums and conferences. So where we will understand the status, present status, what are the gaps, so that we can direct our research into those areas where we need to do more work, right? Again, Tushar, well done. If you are listening, echo text. So what is this? I don't know. Some research on sustainable mining practices. Again, the PhD thesis that I've talked about. Creating soil. We called it artificial soil out of waste streams.
Yes.
When three big mines, by the way, these mines are by no means you can imagine. Can you imagine? Can you guess what's the dimension of these mines that I'm talking of? One of the world's largest mines. These are open cut mines. They use something called bucket wheel excavator. It's a beast. Bucket wheel excavator. The size is almost like football ground of the machine. Again, another $300 million kind of piece. Because that lignite is a soft coal. You can easily dredge it, right? So the size of that mine is an average 2.5 kilometer wide, about 6 kilometer long, still expanding, and about 150-meter deep. Imagine this hole. Can you fill this hole? Okay. What amount of soil that you're going to need to rehabilitate this? So this technology is helping, right? The soils that we developed. In fact, our soils, I can go on and on, but the soils that we developed, they outperform the natural topsoils of the area in terms of germination, plants growth, etc., etc.
Robo-sand also for construction. Robo-sand.
Hmm.
Robo-sand.
Mhm.
So how is it different from robo-sand? In India, we have robo-sand. For Karnataka, they use robo-sand for construction purposes.
Mhm.
And for any gravel, like, the substituting gravel for the roads.
Okay.
How is this like our sand? What?
No, we developed soil, not sand. Soil for plants to grow, right? You know, when you have good agriculture. In fact, Sadhguru,
Save soil.
yes, save soil movement, because that's a big issue now in the worldwide. Soil erosion. Soil is going, and we are abusing the Mother Earth with a lot of fertilizers. So too much fertilizers will also be harmful, right? So our soils have outperformed the natural topsoils. So innovation again. So what else we have got? Then again, data science and so on and so forth. Again, what is done and what can be done or what could be done, you can see, right? Then startups. Now, startup ecosystem in India is again something amazing. Amazing. Even the number of, there was a statistic which was published recently. They looked at the US unicorns and where they had their first degrees. You know what? Indian IITs counted the highest. The graduates who have migrated to US. That's why when Trump came, Trump wanted to retain the talented youngsters from IITs. So he wanted, when these guys go back to India, they make money for India. Let's keep them here. So that enterprise, many unicorn, you know what is the difference between unicorn and, what is unicorn, by the way?
1 billion valuation.
1 billion in valuation, right? 1 billion and over. That's called unicorns. And IIT Bombay apparently has about 7 unicorn startups. Likewise, many IITs now, that the culture is growing. Youngsters are not willing to work. They want to try something. So Professor Ambika is here. I'm sure she will add something about the innovation culture in IIT Hyderabad also. You got
The research part also, and we are having an incubation center.
yeah. Anyone if a good idea, I think you can also they can also come and set up. That's a model, right? They've got
Question.
So if they do IIT, then incubation, if it is outside from IIT, then research.
research park.
Some space. So they need to.
You charge for that or you charge for that? Okay.
There are multiple models they already developed, so they have to the innovation.
Dean innovation. So just think of that. There's so many areas where innovation is needed, even within just critical minerals. So startups and stand-ups and unicorns. That's a kind of trend now. Because wealth creation is not everyone can do. Only very few people, only smart people can do. So finally, what we need? An integrated framework where government, industry, and academia. I'm sure this is an AI developed. Huh? Beautiful, but I like it. Huh? So we all need to work together because when government can come up with policies, and then industry can tell us what is the problem in their own, boundary, then academics can work because academic institutes have fantastic R&D infrastructure. For example, IIT Hyderabad has something that no other institution has in the country. I think there's one specific, what is that? In situ microscope. So no other institution in India or even worldwide also, it's only one of the three, one of the four industries. So like that.
That would be the multiple ideas.
Yeah, atom probe. That's right. Yeah, atom probe. Atom probe. So even people in Australia can use this. They can send their sample by courier or something, and then testing will be done, and then results will be sent. So that's the beauty, right? I think that's that. So one last bit of slides I have for ESG. How are we tracking in terms of time? We got some few minutes, right? And Professor Vamsi also has developed. By the way, you told already, right? Yeah, they all know. So look at that. He has developed a technology where, which company was that? BHL. So amazing. Now Professor Bhuvana got some project from ministry. They're also developing, and Professor Ambika, very enterprising. I feel very energetic working with some of these stars. See, if you have to be shining, be in between the stars. So you also shine, right? That's what I do. To be a winner, be with the winners.
Yes.
Yeah. Then last thing that I'm going to kind of quickly run through is ESG, which is getting really, really, really important. What we said is social license to operate. The key underpinning is SLO. Do you remember? SLO. If you don't have, what will happen? You add another W. Slow. So a project getting delayed means what is going to happen? Cost will shoot up. Time is money, right? We said that time is why? a dollar of today is worth more than a dollar of tomorrow because time has value. That's called time value of money. Those who are familiar with NPV, have you studied NPV?
8%.
Net present value. So, for example, if you set up an industry, you will, Professor Narasimha is here, so you will incur costs, especially in the mining. There's something called gestation period, right? What is gestation period?
From the starting of the mines to first production.
Excellent. So let me put it this way. That's dollars, that's years, number of years. What you're doing is initially to develop the mine to production stage, or not only mining, any business. Even let's say you set up a restaurant. To buy furniture, to buy brewing machines, to buy consumables, you have to spend money, right? So that may be first 3 to 4 months, let's say. And after 4 months, on the first day, you will not get. So your growth of your business will be gradual. So initially, you will have a negative, right? The spend will be negative, and it will start growing like that. So this is called gestation period. That means that is a period that you will incur. So generally, this is between 3 to 5 years for mining companies. Because you have to buy equipment, you have to set up a processing facility, you have to buy equipment, you have to buy, there's a capex. What did you say? Capex? The other one is OPEX. So that's how you, when will you start making profits? From that point onwards. So because this period will be taken care by that period, that means no loss, no gain. And after year 7 onwards, you'll start making profits. NPV is what? Net present value. So every year you're getting some money, right? That's in 1 year. That is one. That is one. That is one. So what you are trying to do is you are applying a discount rate for every of these installments that you're getting in successive future years, and you're finding out today how much that's going to be worth. Because tomorrow's value will be less than today's value. From that point of view, we will always calculate based on NPV, net present value. Right? So we got Professor Sai Pranit also is here. So all the professors who taught you are gradually getting back to the room. Professor Ashok is here. So now you are under scanner, really. Yeah. So ESG, right? So social license to operate. If you don't have, your projects are getting slowed. And a project getting slowed means cost overrun, budget overrun, schedule overruns, everything. It's going to delay. There is a big project that has happened, which is an iconic project for the state of Telangana called Kaleshwaram. Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project. The initial, again, that's political debate, but I don't want to go. But I take it on a face value. So the government said the initial valuation of the project was about 60,000 crores. 60,000 crores. It is the world's largest lift irrigation project. Impressive. All of you should go and see that, impressive project. So much to learn. And then by the time it got completed, the total expenditure was estimated to be 1 lakh crore something. So because the project got delayed, etc., etc. So there was a cost overrun, budget overrun, everything, right? So environmental include climate impact, resource scarcity, pollution, waste management, and biodiversity. When it comes to social, human rights, labor standards, community engagement becoming very, very important, right? Because many coal mines, they go through a lot of public hearings. So it's tremendously torturous process that mining companies go. And we said that number of times that highways get a faster approval rating compared to mining companies. Mining has done very bad. Mining has a very bad reputation. Hence, it's very hard. So ESG. Governance includes corporate ethics, transparency, executive compensation, shareholder rights, and compliance. All right. So that's a kind of ESG, a holistic approach looks like. You need to be having a good balance. It's not either this or that. It's everything in proper mix and combination. So when it comes to the ESG in critical mineral mining, the extraction of minerals essential inherently carries significant ESG risks. So for example, imagine just rare earth processing itself, which is criticized worldwide. Why majority of the countries have done with that? Because it's too tedious, highly energy intensive, separation is going to cost a lot, etc. Again, some of these slides were put up by my another former PhD student, Dr. Shashibhushan Viliangadi. He is now an entrepreneur. He is a CEO of a company that he had built 5 years ago, and it's growing. Year on year, he's growing. Then complex social risks, and then governance vulnerabilities, corruption, opaque supply chains, all of that. See, DRC is not a, see, they got 60% of world's cobalt, but not companies who wants to source them ethically, they cannot. Now, Europe is in a big dilemma, whether can we source something that is not ethically extracted. You use child labor. There's a lot of corruption. So all of these comes to play, right? And I also told you about the dilemma Australia was in, right? Australia, although is endowed with a lot of critical minerals, it used to also import some of the key ingredient for agriculture. That's potash. 100% potash to Australia came from other countries. Majority came from Russia and Belarus. And part of it also came from China and Canada. So when that Ukraine-Russia war broke out, again, that's ethical issue, right? When countries are going into war and when someone kind of invades other countries, so there's ethical issue, right? So it's very, very important that we have risk hotspots, challenges in mineral sourcing. So you can look up social unrest, governance. So you can look at that. Addressing these hotspots is crucial for companies committed to responsible sourcing. As I told now, Tesla is reconsidering whether I should get rare earths that have massacred the ecological imbalance or environmental degradation in whichever jurisdiction they operated, or whether I should find an alternative to rare earths. So all the companies who are concerned about this dimension, they're looking this aspect quite closely. So that's why most Western countries, Western corporations, they are very, very critical about a lot of these aspects. Yeah. So ensuring ethical sourcing, minimizing environmental impact, fostering community benefits are paramount for sustainable development. See, we talked about whether mining, which is by nature depleting the resource, how can it be sustainable? Because the very definition of sustainable development is we should have same right, and our future generations also have the similar right. How can they have? Once a mineral is exhausted means it's gone. How they can ensure that they adhere to sustainable practices is by keeping a good balance between environmental impact, fostering community. That means you leave least footprint so that some other industry will eventually pop up in the S12 mining industry. So, for example, in Australia, there's a place called Bendigo in Victoria. It used to be a very thriving gold mining district because when gold rushes occurred, a lot of people went to Victoria, started settling. So it's called Bendigo. They had a very rich gold deposit and where mining occurred. But again, mining is a temporary land use, right? We call it. Generally, it is only existent for anywhere between 10 to 50 years. That's a normal, typical mining life cycle. After 50 years, they will close it down because either it becomes
Economical.
to extract or unviable. So in that case, they will stop. Then what happens? All the people who are dependent on the mining, suddenly they become jobless. At Singareni, for example, in 30 years, if they got no coal blocks, they will have to stop. So what 50,000 people are dependent on Singareni, what they will do? It's 50,000 directly. That means their families to get put together close to 3-4 lakhs people. Then you have to think, okay, if you left some good, what they've done, now that same place, which was a very thriving gold mining district, now becomes a highly sought after tourist destination. A lot of people go, they do a bit of gold panning, they allow people to go underground, and again with a lot of safety consideration. And now the same region is producing more jobs, more economic prosperity compared to the actual mining, when actual mining was occurring. And same with a project called Eden Project. You write it down, EDEN, Eden Gardens, right? We have in Calcutta, we have Eden Gardens. Eden. In the UK, yeah, Eden Project is a very burning example how a previously operated China clay pit, China clay, right? Clay is used for pots, etc. Now that same place, it created more jobs, it creates more employment per year than when it used to be operated as a China clay quarry. See that these are some good examples. Now, Kolar Goldfields, they should also convert that into a good tourist destination. Now, Singareni Collieries is thinking that they will also create some mines for tourists to come. Then you got alternative employment. Because it's a temporary land use. As I said, mining is a temporary land use. So you think of something else as an alternative industry. So some of these mines now they're putting solar panels, generating solar energy, wind energy. And in fact, my brother-in-law is a general manager of an area where he's thinking now bungee jumping. Because you put these piles of overburden, right? Now these have become new hills in that area. Now he's thinking, creative thinking, look at that. Now, in fact, I told him, why can't you do a community farming where people will go and plant and they are fruit-bearing plants. Mango plants karo, neem plants karo, limbu plants karo. So people who are dependent communities, they will be able to derive benefits. So, this is your area of research. So think creatively. And these could be avenues for youngsters to start enterprises. Each of these ideas. Now, in fact, I published a paper called, an article called 80,000 Abandoned Mines. You can search the conversation article. So each of that is an enterprising idea. And already a company has born out of that research. Green Gravity, a company was born with the name called Green Gravity. Look up what they are trying to do. You got abandoned mine shafts, right? This is very simple technology. See how revolutionary it is going to become. You got an abandoned mine shaft. Do you know what is shaft?
Yes.
Multi-storied building elevators, right? Just imagine that. Our mining friends can tell what a shaft is.
SHOT mine.
Yeah. So typically, mine has either open cast or underground. In underground, you can do declines, inclines, or a vertical shaft. So then you have got some fully, so which will, it's like
Yes.
cage, it will. So after mining is over, this become a redundant, not even asset, liability. Correct? Maybe people can fall into it, your cattle can go into it and so on and so forth. So what this company is doing, this Green Gravity, is beautiful. Now renewable energy, the problem is what? With renewable energy? We said, what is the problem with renewable energy? Storage. For storage only, now we are trying to create these batteries, right?
Yes.
Gigawatt. What these guys are trying to do is very smart. When solar energy is getting produced, so you hang weights. Say, let's say these are 1 ton rocks. You are, when sun is there, you are lifting one rock after the other and then you are storing them here. What is this energy called? Who said? Who said? Potential energy, right? Anything that you lift at a height, now this has some potential energy. Why? If I drop, it comes with gravity, right?
Yes.
So what they are trying to do is that when solar panels are producing solar energy, they're going to lift all these weights one by one and then store. And once sun is set, they're going to lower it down one by one, so that again they can generate energy back into the grid. Simple technology. Green Gravity. Look up for that. So this company was born after my paper got published. And this gentleman who started, Mark Swinnerton, a good friend of mine, he was a vice president in BHP. When he was vice president, he wrote an email to me saying that, Mohan, I like your research. I want to catch up. I didn't know that time why he is. But when he floated this company, amazing. Simple solution, right?
So, like battery energy storage systems are there, like in India, like for PV, how like economics, whether which process is more economical with this or that.
See, this has got multiple benefits. It compares so well with economics. It compares so well with efficiency, 80% efficiency. See, battery is only 60% and hydro is only 50% or even 40%. Brilliant. If you look up, there's a nice infograph on this company's website. It is ultimately the best technology. Now, many companies have born out of this once this was born.
They are just started.
Now they are talking to Coal India Limited. Coal India also has a lot of abandoned mine shafts where they want to deploy this technology. Simple, right? When there's sun, you lift weight one by one.
Yes.
When there's no sun, you drop one by one. And then it produces energy. Simple. कुछ है ही नहीं इसमें.
So requirement is that there should be a mine shaft.
Mine shaft. Now, in fact, I was telling someone, when you have this multi-rises, right, 30 floor, 40 floor, whether we could have, something hanging on the sides. Right, no? Why not? You have some structural steel on the periphery, and then you can bring a bit of beautification and architectural components into it. And then that building can go net zero, achieve net zero. What you consume, what you produce. So just think of all this. I think you all must read that paper that I've written. It's an article you can read in 10 minutes. 80,000 abandoned mines, the conversation. That has become a hit. 200,000 people have read that article after it got published. 200,000 means 2 lakh people have read. And every aspect of that is the enterprising aspect. And then one other thing is, I said, can we use abandoned mines to sequester carbon? You plant, sequester carbon, and then you take the carbon credits, sell them. Companies like Boeing and others, they are desperately looking for that. Carbon sequestration, carbon credits, right? So that's very important. Sustainability. Yeah. So when you leave, you create a positive legacy, not a negative legacy. People should remember you for good. Right? Great. No. For all youngsters, that's a mantra that you should work towards. All right? Anyway, this is done. Global demand, leading ESG frameworks in mining. So you look at Global Reporting Initiative, very important. So these are the key international accords, or so to say, voluntary declaration. You have to be proactively doing that. So that people will trust you. Why people distrust? If you are opaque, if you are concealing information, you're not sharing with your stakeholders or your customers. You're open, people like it, right? Just imagine if you are open, people love you. If you're trying to cut them off, then they will become envious, develop grudges, and so on and so forth, right? తెలుగులో అంటాం చాడీలు చెప్తారు అట్లా. All right.
So these are the standards, or there are also
Various global frameworks guide the mining sector in implementing reporting on ESG performance.
only quote, there are also
Yeah, plenty other. Yeah. I think the next environmental factors, GHG emission management. Yeah. Look at this. So all this. So if country has to achieve net zero, every company in the country also need to achieve. So now Monash University, where I work, also has a net zero target. We want to achieve net zero by, I think, 2030. So that means, how do you do it? You have energy efficiency, controlling that, but also you produce your own energy. We have huge water tank, like, all the storm water we collect and we use it for our own plants. We have got solar installations, rooftop solar. We produce our own solar energy. Multiple variety of initiatives. So Rio Tinto is already in the business doing that. Water stewardship, another important thing. Zero liquid discharge, recycling and reuse of water. Mining and processing utilizes large quantities of water, right? Tailings pond देखा कभी आप लोग? Tailings pond,
Yes.
ash ponds को देखा ना? Tailings pond देखे. Yeah. So water, lot of water. It comes like a paste, slurry. So you require a lot of water. How can we recycle part of that water so that we are less dependent on either groundwater or surface water streams? And again, due to climate change, rainfall patterns are changing. Either you have got excess rain suddenly, which is what happened in Mumbai, and also Jammu Kashmir in Assam. Your state is always one of the biggest kind of what you call biggest receiver, on the receiving end, right? Brahmaputra.
Actually, all the waters come down.
Yeah.
So that comes in. So also if they are increase in water, they also get release the water from the dam
Mm.
or natural. So all water comes.
Yeah. So it's very, very, how can we reduce our water footprint? And Professor Narasimha's research is all about this. How to have dry processing. Can we achieve processing with minimum use of water or no use of water? No use is the best scenario. Minimum use is okay. That's better.
But then nowadays these AI, whatever GPT is taking that, they are saying that they use a lot of water. Uh, GPT search engines.
Yeah, yeah. Energy and water.
You know, Google inference, there is an inference cost. For example, if I do Google search, for me it will cost 1 paisa. If I do chat GPT search, it will cost me like 10x. It's just 1 rupee. Because of the inference cost, what that behind that it's lots of these data centers.
Data centers.
Data centers, you need a lot of water, energy.
Absolutely.
So people say that the model is not sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah, Google has a selfish motto there, right? To propagate that message. Otherwise, now apparently people are using less of Google these days. Yeah. And then that way Google's business is going down. So,
Like another book is last night,
yeah.
like how Nokia died in the market. They didn't do anything wrong, but they are not
Completely wiped out.
competition wiped us. Similarly, Google is worse on that.
Yeah. See, all these are a bit of geopolitical and business tactics companies play. Okay. So water is again one of the precious resource. Uh, in fact, there is if you are trying to set up in fact, my friend Sridhar and their company are thinking Middle East. Middle East water is very expensive commodity. So unless chemical engineers come up with some good dry processing methodologies, it's not going to be sustainable. So where you use less rain, like if you look at Southern America is a classic case, South America, Chile, Peru, they produce world's 40 to 50% copper. Water is very, very, very precious there. Of course, they've got glacials, but glacial melt and etc. But it's a dry continent. And Australia is also the driest continent in the world. In Western Australia, it is even more. There's not enough water. And in fact, when I went to Australia in 2007, there was a drought for successive 10 years period until 2008 or 9. 10 years of drought, continuous. So we used to have a lot of water restrictions that you cannot use pipe for watering the plants. You cannot wash your car. There were inspectors always going, and if you use a pipe, they'll cut your pipe. And if you use again, they'll put you a fine. Like that, water restrictions. Absolutely. And there's a nice saying, millions of people have lived without love, right? You don't have to have love or your loved one, but not a single without water. So, yeah. So water is very precious. Then biodiversity, see, I don't have to say, very, very important. Like in ecologically fragile areas like Goa, biodiversity was rich there. So mining has really massacred. That's why Supreme Court said 2015, all the mining would stop. And it stopped. Even now also, there's no mining. Huh? No, you guys need to think innovatively, creatively. How to do mining without,
Preserving life.
yeah, balancing act. Not always, dollar, money. Think about people. take communities along with you. Become good mining engineers, not bad mining engineers. Anyway, so some thoughts anyway. Waste and tailings management. This is also a big thing, right? What did we say? Copper is only 2%, right? What does 98% means? Tailings. Gold is only 5 grams in a ton. What is the rest? Tailings. And besides tailings, if it is an open cut, you also got waste rock.
Yes, overburden.
Overburden. कहाँ डालेंगे ये तो बोल रहा था ना my brother-in-law's case that Singareni now they are trying to they've created new mountains now that they are trying to use for bungee jumping. Yeah.
Tourism.
Tourism,
Adventure sport.
adventure sports.
Support just really like it's should really first line of defense.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So already sort of raised about the ground. So it's like rather than drilling holes into the heart of the we can use liquid of the waste that's already present about.
Absolutely. Very true. Very true. Now that's why again Ministry of Road Transport they are now trying to use mine overburden and also fly ash for road construction as a road base, which is brilliant. But again, the logistic cost will be higher. See, mines are somewhere, roads are somewhere else. Yeah. How do you transport? Whether that makes economic sense? Yeah, I'll wrap it up. So Professor Narasimha is saying that we should wrap up. I think circular economy, etc. So yeah, so there are some case studies that you can look at. Free, prior, informed consent. So anyway, I'm going to share some of these. Take last 2 minutes and I'll wrap it up. Yeah. And empowering local communities, local employment and skill development. So these are some of the key initiatives that if you have to get social license to operate, you must do this. Accident prevention, ethical sourcing, and human rights. So I think that's where I'm going to stop. With that, now our program comes to an official end as far as teaching and lecturing is concerned. Now I think I will pass on the stage back to Professor Narasimha, who was our opening batsman. So
Now we are in kind of our 2 week sessions. So first of all, I thank you all for your patience, for your interaction, and for your interest. It's really useful. As a holiday, also we are getting so much encouragement for this workshop works, and thank you for all the professors and thank you all for your interaction and all the general knowledge things. Now I'd like to invite Professor Narasimha Mahudari from IIT Hyderabad to give the closing remarks.
is everyone passing or?
So we plan initial fast, but then education from here, where we started so additional secretary and few other key members are here, and then director called urgent meeting. So we don't know when we are going to complete that. It may go till 2:30 or so. So that's urgency. That's why otherwise we could have had formal, closing ceremony in the afternoon. But otherwise, in terms of the technical content that we had it and also deliberated in the sessions, I hope you must have enjoyed and also got thorough. And I could see the exam performance quite satisfactory. Probably, yeah, that's really pleasing out of. Huh?
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Yeah. And the average is 48. I think it's definitely above 70% and 75. So congratulations for everybody who have participated for this course. So just coming for the motivation for this John course that we started, it's Professor, Mohan from Monash and also our director who actually motivated us to kickstart this program. It was 1 year before we planned and things were deferred in a different way. But otherwise, today we are here, we have completed the course successfully. So, and right on time, even Minister of Mines also has given a recognition for our IIT Hyderabad as a center of excellence, as a hub. And Monash University and many of your associations are going to be working closely with us. In fact, if you are even keen on associating with the center, you are welcome. And you can contact me and Dr. Wamshi, Dr. Ashok, even Professor Mohan. And we are also formally inviting Dr. Buona to come and join our COE as a partner officially. So I think we want to strengthen the wings. It's not like we are flying high, keeping away all up. No, we want to fly all together. That's only the motto behind all this. Then the second part is, of course, thanks to the volunteers who have done tremendous job. Which without them, this program would have not gone successfully. In fact, Ahmed is still waiting at the registrar office to get the certificate signature by the registrar. So, and probably there is a delay in getting the certificates. Hopefully, by lunch, you will have those certificates. We wanted a certificate as a distribution as part of this also. Unfortunately, that is also getting delayed in the last minute. Again, I would like to sincerely thank Professor Mohan, who has taken his time from Australia all the way traveling to India and spending effectively, nearly 12 to 13 days, 12 to 13 days in IIT Hyderabad. And I hope you had fruitful interactions with Professor Mohan and his expertise. And also, I would like to thank all our experts who have delivered talks, starting from Dr. Ambika, Dr. Bona, and Dr. Ashok, Dr. Sai Praneeth, and also Dr. Wamshi. And we had one guest lecturers, couple of them by Dr. T. Srinivas, who has come. Unfortunately, Sai Sudarshan, right, Shishibhushan, he could not join online due to some technical issue on the power, but otherwise, he would like to share some of the slides anyway. We can, yeah, okay. So I think it is the beginning of critical minerals activity at IIT Hyderabad, I would say, and your association definitely is going to give a extra boost for everybody, and especially the research scholars. Now they are actually is about to graduate. Couple of them, they would see the real world connecting to critical minerals and minerals. So I would say fraternity in the critical mineral is very small, but otherwise that is still okay to go and fly with high colors. So I would like to really wish everybody all the very best and do best in your endeavors, and also keep in touch with us. And also, if you have anything related to the course, I think we are gathering all the course material. We'll also circulate that as a one PDF form so that, instead of having individual, we'll make one PDF form, and so that you'll have the total lectures that you can refer back anytime that you can go on it. And I think YouTube videos will be live sometime. I mean, will be there for you to access. I will find out up to what tenure that they will keep it. I think they go phase wise. This is a phase 4 program is running, and usually any phase that goes is about 1 year. And I think our course is one of the last series in this phase 4. So probably you'll have access again another 6 months minimum to view and check those lectures. Okay. So without due further, I request for Ramon to give few words about how the course went on, feedback about it. And again, I'll also request Wamshi and Ashok to give some feedback on this course. Yeah, Professor Ramon.
make some noise. So again, you have heard quite a lot about me. 60 close to 60% of the lectures. Right? So bored. Say face. But I think now you are left with some greater and deeper understanding of the three things that we started on. One, you must sit now. After this, we'll go for lunch. I think that is the intent that we started on. I'm sure you follow the lectures, you attended the tutorials, and to connect the dots, you'll see a bigger picture about fitness. By now, you have a good appreciation that critical minerals are not just technology, critical minerals are not just economics, critical minerals are not just money, critical minerals are not just policy, critical minerals are not just geopolitics, but the competition. And when we when Professor Nasima started this off, okay, one of the key intent was to create enlightened students and professionals in the country for the country. But you will remain. Your skills are going to be useful to the country. So, but researcher, undergrad student, or your industry professional. So this renewed understanding of critical minerals in a comprehensive way. Now you will start thinking how country should move forward. If country progresses, we all progress. If country has to become a self-reliant country and a developed country by 2047, as Prime Minister always says, skills are the core. People are the glue. You have the best of the technologies, but if you don't have a qualified people, you can't. So it is that balancing act. Check if you're not taking good interest during the course. So that's not said. You have an opportunity to go for the slides, also the videos. Get your understanding deeper, stronger. So that's spend money on you. You are that rich. Government doesn't need skill. We have done our duty. It's not you who has to do that back. It's your own country. So I wish you all the best. I can keep in touch. I really enjoyed the interactions. Next time you said something, I take them on the right way. I don't but anyway, we all love you. And, I also have fantastic colleagues. Those are Nasima, those are the main coordinators. So show so long team. So we are these fantastic colleagues at IIT. And also my friend Gona, South Africa, and Cyber Meet, meeting it for the first time. So it has been a pleasure. Been a pleasure being back. The campus was beautiful, but that's why I was taking walk every day. So I also, this program began program, whilst it gave GAN to a lot of people, it gave me good health. So yeah, all the very best things that I really want to do in the future. Thank you so much. And of course, thanks to the fantastic volunteers. Yes. They provided water for me. Again, going back to many without now, it's not a single without water. So that water was the key for me to speak. That's so many hours. Thanks. That's all. Thank you, Professor Mohan, for full
the recap of what you have gone through as a course. Now, I quickly request Dr. Ashok, it's just 2 minutes. Yeah.
Just I would like to say one thing. Whom I've invested for the last 2 weeks. It's not a single person. I would say he's a librarian. He's a library. So I did that with him probably 1.5 years. So we are getting a lot of things, lot of information related to probably now a lot of what it's stay in touch with the Professor Mohan. I think he's a very, very good, knowledgeable resourceful person for critical. No, not other than he can more on critical. With this message, I just stop.
Ashok.
Thank you,
sir. Vamshi.
And even I don't have much to talk. I like just say that there are lots of senior professors who are very lectures, and I have a small sampling. I just with them and just growing, and they are supporting me. I just want to show that there is lots of research available in critical research. So your work can be curious and be excited to learn and extend your hands. And there are other young professors like Dr. Saipati, all of us are like learning from our seniors, and we are trying to build our institute very strong. So you also stay motivated.
Learn from Spongy, smile all the time. In sports, inspire.
Dr. Sai.
There's nothing much to say. As Professor said, this is definitely not the end. So think it as a team, explore other new areas, new things. It's very good. Thank you.
Dr. Bona, you may come forward, say a few words.
That's the good mix of gender in the so we party.
First of all, I'd like to extend my thanks both to Professor Mohan, Professor Narasimha for inviting me to be part of this lecture and Dhyan program. And always a big thank you to ID, Hyderabad hospitality, volunteers, everything. It's a pleasure to always be here. And I was very much happy to see that all of you were interested to know about the biotechnology perspective. I didn't expect much interaction, but I was very glad to see it, that you were all interested to know that what biotechnology is, what is happening with biotechnology and critical minerals. So I'm glad that I could give that different perspective into this Dhyan program. So thank you for everything. Thank you for your attention and thank you for your interest.
Yeah.
And yeah, my email ID is shared, so always thank you so much.
Yeah.
Your course online.
Oh, so it's already on. Okay.
Okay. So every day it's a live telecast. Even now, also, whatever we talk.
Very surprising. Even I went to the future where people and me. And it's a surprise that in the so maybe try to meet up and fellow member in this area. And try to meet up whenever senses, whenever sense in our side so that we can try to create more awareness because that the mental science it's only one time we can use it. So definitely there are a lot of awareness and economical ways we have it's time to sustain the nation and create more value. So definitely our research and the work need to be daily to the next level and try to incorporate because we don't have much professional bodies in India, only mining is association of India. We have body here. Where most of the retired people are considered. And we have it, if anything needed, I will make that. So I do bring up and the industry also we are having some of the things we are doing at developing trainers in this country in other parts of the countries. So we are also working on some R&D, some best way of models. So that's why I'm making a networking more. So Definitely, your work is good and it needs to be taken to the next level. So I will incorporate speak to Yemi and we introduce these things. Then we will take. Yeah, sure. Yeah, definitely. It has to be taken because the way I see the processing technologies in India, yes, we are the lower level. Still Australia and China are dominating. So at least we need to reach certain level in the things. So definitely, please to will help for the next generation. This is the need of love for the country. Speak now.
Maybe so you have a lot of lectures from us. So we have a laboratories also here. So even though you have some always tried so better time now the system laboratories also. So I'm just very happy to show our laboratories. We have enormous number of prestigious instruments which are related to critical minerals also have this. So you have to develop interest in the substance and you are able to do my laboratories. This is each also in the others.
So, thank you all for your words and encouragement. Um, so now we have certificate distribution here. Um, I'd like to invite all the professors, Mohan sir, Ambika, Roland sir. Dr. Chidambaram sir, please come forward. Certificates to the activities.
Very important. We are just on their voice.
Let this come. Yeah?
Yeah.
You stand that side. You stand that side. So if this comes in middle, yeah,
Is this okay?
a little bit further. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Neha Mallikan. Raghavendra Abhishek.
Wonderful. Okay.
Komal Ravi.
Dr. Chidambaram, please.
Saini.
Yeah, one more. Just you three and then.
Pradeep Kumar from Ayurveda. Shubham Kumar from King's University.
Oh, no. Oh, that's it.
From NDH. K. Vaishnavi from IDH. also from UPRD research and
Okay.
Sandesh from IAB. Vipul Kumar from AS University. Krishnan from IT Health. Veerubhadra from IT Health. Vivian Reddy, IT Health.
How come we get that?
Hemant, IT Health. Just it's
Very bad.
from IT Health.
Yeah, big round of applause. He made your sugar levels,
So I thought,
she made sure that the room and everything else was in place. So, okay, I'm going to round of big applause. Okay, to a good round of applause to all of yourselves.
Thank you all, professors. We are very glad to hear from you. So we get, as I said, we get information from a lot of websites and all the books, but the wisdom is very much shared, where we can apply our knowledge to the fields where it is really required. And also from this workshop, I kind of getting some idea that so knowledge, understanding, everywhere we can get when we get that attention, but real thought will arise from the good lectures. So I am very confident that everyone had the thought of action. So where we are previously and where we are now. So that knowledge, understanding and application thought, everything comes from all the professors. They kind of covered all the geopolitics, geological department and all the real processing side, everything they covered. I think this is the best place. Stay in touch with every one of us, and you will get your uh, that slides and everything as a textbook form. Maybe we will send you soon. And thank you all. All the best.